from Columbus, Ohio, former Chicago star, the very graceful Joe Kristof. From Detroit, Michigan, the winner of the Northbrook, Illinois series on championship bowling, Bobby Kwolek. Hello, everybody, and welcome once again to Winston-Salem, North Carolina. This is Fred Wolf at the Major League Bowling Lanes. Each week, two of the nation's great stars in match game participation, $1,000 to the winner. And, of course, we're qualifying now for the finals. Both these boys have made one appearance. They're back for their second appearance. Total pins for 6 games. It's Joe Kristof from Columbus, Ohio, Bobby Kwolek from Detroit. All of this competition is sanctioned by the American Bowling Congress, an additional $10,000 for all 300 games. We'll be ready to go in game number 1 in 1 moment.
Bobby Kwolek of Detroit won the toss. He elected to start on the right side, all games starting on the left. We look at Joe Kristof from Columbus, Ohio. For 21 games, averaging .229 on championship bowling. He's too high, the 6 and the 10. Kristof had .576 in his first round, losing to Johnny Gunther, who has the leading 3 going in, .683. Johnny Gunther from Seattle, Washington, and the boy that they're all waiting to see in action. He will meet Andy Marsich on a later show. Andy from out the West Coast also. Joe Kristof. 6'10", cross lane. Covers the 2. He has to spare. So young Bobby Kwolek moving in on the right side from Detroit, born in Detroit in 1932, has an average of .228 for 12 games, compiled in the Northbrook, Illinois series, from which he emerged the champion. Too high, breaks it up, nothing but the 6 pin. Bobby is a former draftsman. Turned to professional bowling for his livelihood, a member of the AMF staff. Competed in 9 events on the Pro Tour in 1962. At the 6 pin, he covers that. Seemed to be a little in doubt there. Got to the line a little bit in a hurry. This fellow holds a couple of all-time records on the Professional Bowlers Tour in 1960 in the Indianapolis 500 Open. He set a new record for the qualifying rounds, 25 games. He averaged .227, an event that Billy Welu eventually won. Doesn't get there, the .245 in the 8th. His other record is an American Bowling Congress record set in 1960 with his partner Eddie Labansky, another member of our 24-man field. They shot 1582 for 3 games. Kwolek had 814, Labansky 768. Nice cover. The 2-4-5-8, and Joe Kristof comes in on the right with a chance to take the lead. All he needs is a count. Of course, it's early. 3 games, total pins. Kwolek needs 661 to top Dave Sutar's 1267. Too high, breaks up another split, leaves nothing but the 6 pin. It's Dave Sutar from Detroit with a total of 1267. Sutar coming through with 680. 2 weeks ago, young Ron Winger turned in 678, which put him at 1237. Last week, Johnny King with 628 going with his 614 opening series is now in the 2nd spot with 12:42. So it's Dave Sutar, 12:67, Johnny King, 12:42. That's what the boys are shooting at. Kristof, former Chicago star, born in Toledo, moved to Chicago in 1946, to Columbus, Ohio in 1961. Operates his own pro shop in Columbus. Brooklyn side leaves the 10. These are brand new AMF tournament grade pins, each pin registered. That ensures the matched weight of each set. The lanes have been reconditioned, as they are for each match. They've been checked out to American Bowling Congress specifications. Fine match game conditions. Fair for one as the other. There's the cover. Probably not as easy as you might like them, or myself, but for these boys, we've got to keep it quite tough. Separates the boys, the men from the boys. There it is. Bobby gets his. So the first strike of the match, we go into the fourth. Kristof on the spare. Kwolek is on the strike. Get your strike as fast as you can. Then the next assignment, get the double as soon as you can. And Bobby Kwolek has that assignment right now. He has the first one. He'd like a quick double. Here it comes. It'll never get there. The 2-4-5-8. Bobby dropped that one. No lift. Kwolek's got to lift that ball. He gives it quite a turn. You'll notice how he cocks his wrist. He makes that, look out. He's got it. He starts out putting his hand in the ball on the side. At the peak of his backswing, he makes a turn with the ball and then gets to the line with that wrist cock and then the release. The big lift, which you've got to do. Kristof out and back. There it is, the 7 pin on a pretty good hit. So Joe's still looking for his first strike. Kristof playing that deep inside angle that we've referred to occasionally here on the right side. Next week, it'll be Carmen Salvino from Chicago, Hank Lauman from Los Angeles. We're at the end of the fourth. 1 pin. Kristof has it. Here's his fourth spare. Better hurry, Joe. Better hurry. Oh, he just got there. Well, Kristof had a little trouble at the foul line. So we go into the fifth. 1 strike. Kristof counting 9 pins all the way, with the exception of the first frame, which of course doesn't make much difference. He didn't lose any pin count. He left the 6 pin in the second, the 10 pin in the third, the 7 pin in the fourth. In the fifth, it'll go. Then 5-7. Boy, Joe got on top of that one. So Kristof has the 5-7. Let's see what he can do with it. The AMF spare maker says, hit the 5 pin thin on the right side. The 5 pin will slide across the pin deck and knock down the 7. Just like that. You see? Very simple, isn't it? So at the end of 5, for Kristof, it's 75 and a very big spare there in the 5th. As Kwolek now moves back right. Had a strike here. In the 3rd, oh, this one's way to the left. 5 and the 9. Bobby a little off on his timing. As he throws back his eyebrows, he don't know what happened there. This is not an easy spare. Cover the 2 pins. Look out. Oh, man, he didn't get much of that 8 pin. So Kwolek moves left at the end of 5. It's still 1 pin. Kristof is 75 spare. Kwolek is 74 spare. We're in the 6th. First game. Bobby Kwolek from Detroit. There we are. So Kwolek tears one apart as Kristof moves in on the right side, looking for his first strike. Here it comes. There it is. Now the boys begin to loosen up a bit as Kristof moves to the left with a chance for the first double. This is the first opportunity Joe has had. Kwolek failed in his first try, but he sits on a strike in the sixth as Kristof, with his brand new AMF Am-Flight bowling ball. Joe knows something about drilling bowling balls. That's his business, operating a pro shop in Columbus. The big turn. There it is. And Joe got out of that one. That's the same angle he's been playing, and his ball hasn't been moving too much, but that one had the lift he wanted. He has the double. Kwolek will have to match it to stay within 1 pin of his opponent. He could be there. There he is. So that's 2 now. The boys lose up 5 frames to go. We had 1 strike throughout the first 5 frames for each man. Kwolek had it. He couldn't make it good. Now we go into the last half. We have nothing but strikes to show. A quick change. Could be. There it is, number 3. So Kwolek now has put his opponent on the spot. Kristof picked up 2. All competition moving from our right to the left. Each game starts on the left side. That bowler takes his seat. His opponent steps up, goes right to left. 2 complete frames. And we follow that routine throughout the game. Deep inside, it'll have to hurry. It does, and Kristof leaves the 10 pin, and Bobby Kwolek has taken the lead for the first time. Joe Kristof won the 1961 American Bowling Congress Classic Doubles title in Detroit with his teammate Don Ellis. He has rolled 22 perfect scores, 4 of them sanctioned at the 10 pin, but covered. Joe has rolled the second highest 3 games ever rolled on championship bowling in the Chicago series, 778. Kristof in the 9th. 2 high, 310, baby split. He's another one of the field that has accomplished a feat that I'm sure all bowlers strive for. He has rolled a 300 game on television also, back in 1955. Won him a brand new automobile. In the 9th, 310. The ball between the 2 pins. Joe Kristof has accomplished that. Well, Joe's made a couple of great shots over there. He's turned in the 5-7 and the 310, both on the same side, is now the youngster from Detroit, Bobby Kwolek. Out after another fellow Detroiter, Davey Sutar, who leads with 1267. Kwolek needs 661. 10 pin. Just a little bit on the light side. The old in-betweener. That's the great equalizer. You can shake them up with that thin hit, or the splasher as they call it, the grinder. A solid hit, you assume that you carry most of those, but when you're in between, you need a little help from that 6 pin. Kwolek with a spare in the 9th. Bobby moves left. Kristof needs 692. Kwolek needs 661. There's a lot of heavy artillery still to be heard from. In the 10th, Kwolek on the nose, and we have another 310. Well, this has been quite a game, a great exhibition of spare shooting. We haven't had an open frame. We've converted the 5-7. Kwolek watched Kristof make this one in the 9th frame on the same lane. Bobby's turned in the 2-4-5-8 and the 2-4-5, and we have this nice shooting. Some great shots here as you watch the great champions on championship bowling from Winston-Salem, North Carolina, here at the Major League Bowling Lanes. And these AMF automatic pin spotters have been doing their usual great job. Kwolek in the 10th. The count 2-11. There it is. 2-1-1. So Joe Kristof now can win this game with 3 strikes in the 10th. He needs 30 pins to win by 1. Think he can do it? Look out. Too high. 6 pin. So Kwolek will have a lead here in the first game. Not too many. And with 2 games to go, both of these boys capable of really breaking loose with the long string of strikes that it'll take. There it is. Some great matches coming up in the weeks to come on Championship Bowling. After Salvino and Lauman go at it next week, it'll be Ray Shannon and Fred Lenning. Then little Georgie Howard against Big Pat Patterson. Dick Weber, the Professional Bowler of the Year, will meet Vern Downing. Then comes Eddie Labansky and Ed Bourdet. Lou Campy will meet Jimmy Schroeder. Andy Marsich against Johnny Gunther. There's the count, the full 10. So at the end of game 1, it's Kristof 201, Bobby Kwolek 211. This is Fred Wolf. We'll be back for the big second game. Don't go away. Right now on Championship Bowling, here are your hosts.
Here are the scores for the first game. Joe Kristof, 201. Bobby Kwolek, 211. A great exhibition of spare shooting. Are you ready, you all, for game number 2? Come on, let's give them a little encouragement. We'll be off.
Bobby Kwolek from Detroit out in front, the margin, 10 pins, starts the game on the left side, the second game of 3. He winds one up, he's going to be too high. Right in the middle and breaks it up. The 4-7. That could have been the 4-6-7. We still haven't had an open frame. The boys have been converting almost everything. 3 splits. Kristof made 2. And Kwolek converted the 3-10 in the 10th. There's the cover. So Kristof now starting off the second game. Joe only had 3 strikes. Kwolek had 5. Kristof with a double. Kwolek with a turkey. Deep inside angle. The big turn, it'll never get there. Joe leaves the 2-4-5. Joe's toughest spare, he'll tell you, is the 2-5-8. Well, he has the 2-5 up there with the 4. The 4, of course, really isn't anything to worry about. The idea here is to cover the 2-5, not to pick. And he covers it almost. Joe shakes his head. There's the first open frame, picking the 2 off the 5. That ball moved very quickly at the last moment. Some of the boys go a little farther left than that and try to make the ball roll into the spare. Throwing the ball cross lane, across the boards, will cut down the hook of the ball. The ball will hook more when you throw it with the boards. 4-pin, he kicks it out. So looking back on Kristof's performance up to now, it's many times a miss of that kind, or a split, will kick him loose. He could very well be starting a big string right now. Kwolek in the second now has himself better than 10 pins. On the Brooklyn, the 5-pin, and Bobby's been wild over here twice. Kwolek's trying to play that inside angle, but it's a little difficult for him. He has a tendency of pulling the ball. He knows he can't go out too far with it in trying to hold the line or throw the ball without the turn. He has a tendency to pull it. There's his spare. So Kwolek moves to the left. Youngster that started as a pin boy. Bowled in his first league in 1948, averaged 181. And his father was a great teacher. Bobby's father used to shoot around the 190 mark. 3-finger ball. semi-fingertip. There we are. So Kwolek with a strike. Kristof moves in the third, trailing by some 20 pins. Lost the first game by 10. Too high. 3-6-10. Joe Kristof, father of 3 children, and Joe's wife, June Kristof, one of the finer bowlers in the country. She averages around 190. And that's not bad. Kristof with the cover. So we move left again, and Joe with 1 double to show. Kwolek with 1 turkey. Kwolek still needs 450. Kristof needs 491 to bother Davy Sutar, who leads. There it is. Sutar with 1267 for 6 games. Johnny King with 1242 for 6 games. The top 2 scorers for their 2 appearances qualify for the finals with a $15,000 added purse. Kwolek for 2. He's got it. There's a double. So Bobby finally got on that line here on the right side. And he adds 10 more pins to his margin. And he's going up 450 that he needs. He needs 425 to move into the second spot, although many people say that that's not enough. You're going to need about 1330 to 1350. 1 more. 10 pins solid. You can't hit him any better than that. Bobby was the winner of the championship bowling series from Northbrook, Illinois. Won the $10,000 top prize and 2 $1,000 prizes. Shot the 5th highest 3 games in the history of championship bowling, 763, including a 290 game. There's his cover. And that could have been a turkey. Kristof now has got to make the move. We're almost halfway. Joe was short here in the first. He was high in the third. And there, ladies and gentlemen, was some action. Joe Kristof really tears them apart for the double. 49 and 2. Kwolek is 88 spare. Kristof trying for his first turkey. 3 in a row. Fingertip reaches, throws. There's the 10 pin again. So the 10 pin on the left side, lane 27, the troublemaker this week. Johnny King last week was riding them high, leaving the 4 pin and the 4-7. We're into the last half of the second game. The last half of this match on championship bowling from Winston-Salem, North Carolina. This is Fred Wolf. We look at Bobby Kwolek, who has himself a 20-pin lead. 6th frame of the second game. 14 perfect scores for this youngster. 1 sanction. There it is. Well, that could have been a string going for the Detroit youngster. A 10-pin solid in between a double and the single. He moves left now, working on a big strike. He'd like to make it 2. His opponent, Kristof, is on the spare. Here's where you had the advantage. Well, if he hits him where he did in the 5th frame. Oh, look here, look here, look here. 7-9, and that's the 3rd one that Kwolek has let loose. He crossed twice on the right side. That one seemed to be out of his hand before he was ready to throw it. And he doesn't like that one bit. This will be Bobby's first open frame, and it was on a strike. He takes the 1, counts the 9, 19 and 9. So for Kwolek, at the end of 7, 136 with the open frame as Kristof moves in the 7th, working on a spare. That's it. There it is. Kristof getting the big strike here to go on as we move along here in the second game. This game practically even with Kristof now in the advantageous position. He has the strike in the seventh. This would put the match on an even basis, practically to the pin, if Kristof can get his double in the eighth. The big reach, little high, another 310. He kicked the 10 out. So Joe gets a good kick there, not having to shoot at the 310, unable to get the double. This game practically even. Bobby Kwolek out in front. The margin, 8 pins. $1,000 to the winner, $500 to the runner-up. Both boys making their second appearance. 6 games, total pins. The 2 top scorers qualify for the finals. Here's Bobby Kwolek, the young Detroiter who defeated Tony Lindeman of Dallas, Texas in his first match, 607 to 571. He needs 450 the last 2 games to get on top of Sutar. Look out, 10 pin. Bobby has a very peculiar little hitch there at the top of his backswing. He starts out with his wrist more or less straight, and when he gets to the top of his backswing, you'll notice he cocks the wrist, makes a slight little wiggle, and then reaches out with it and puts it almost where he wants it. As he covers the 10, we're in the 9th. There has been some criticism on his backswing due to the fact that he can get himself in trouble by moving that hand up there, as he does. No trouble with that one. So it's the big work frame, number 9. Kwolek's got the strike. Still a chance for 216. Kristof in the 9th. Joe will finish the game first, and then Kwolek will know just what he needs. Kristof can go all the way for 218. Look out. Too high, breaks it up 610. Joe got started back in 1934. Mother and father were both bowling enthusiasts. Joe used to go out and watch his mother and father bowl in a mixed league in Toledo, Ohio. 610. Cover the pins. That's it. So Joe has his spare. We go into the 9th. This game even to the pin. Kwolek with the advantage. He has the strike in the 9th. You've probably noticed both boys wearing the shirts and slacks, the matching shirts and slacks by King Louis. Joe Kristof. Look out, Joe. Too high, wide open, 6-7-10. So Joe having his troubles. He started this game with an open frame, and boy, he's got a tough one here in the 10th. He's got to just touch that 6 pin on the outside. And the big slide across the pin deck. Too much of that 6 pin, and Kristof is open. Bobby Kwolek now on a big strike can pick himself up some 30 pins here in the 10th frame. 216 all the way. To win the game by 34 pins. They went into the 10th even to the pin. Too high. 610. Kwolek in 1962 was a member of the Fort Worth Panthers in the National Bowling League. Finished 208. 208 average for the entire season. Has an ABC title to his credit. Member of the winning team in 59, and there's another miss by Kwolek. Well, the open frames are coming here as the boys begin to press. In this game, Kwolek 184 for Kristof 182. The big third game to follow. $1,000 hangs in the balance. The margin just about 10 pins. This is Fred Wolf in Winston-Salem, North Carolina on Championship Bowling. Right now, some friends of yours.
Here are the scores for the first two games. Joe Kristof, 201, 182. The total is 383. For Bobby Kwolek, 211, 184. The total, 395. The margin, 12 pins. One game to go, $1,000. Still hangs in the balance. Are you ready? Winston-Salem. All right? Here we go.
It'll be Joe Kristof, Columbus, Ohio, starting the third and final game. The boys haven't been able to get loose. Both boys having opens. In the 10th, Kwolek with a chance to really get out in front. Left the 6-10, missed the spare. Kristof is there, and we have a strike for the Columbus Stars. Kwolek moves in on the right. Bobby Kwolek, a Detroit boy, born in Detroit, has rolled two 290 games on television. One in 1960 on Detroit television, one on championship bowling in Northbrook, Illinois. Doesn't get there, the 2-5. So it looks like Davey Sutar from Detroit with 1267 is going to hang on for another week. Next week, Carmen Salvino and Hank Lauman. The 2-5, extreme left. The AMF Sparemaker says, right there. There's a cover. We go into the second. Bobby trying to hang on. The lead, 12 pins. And that's not too many. That's better. Joe Kristof now moves in on the right. Joe's on the strike. This strike will practically put this match within a pin or two. Kwolek is on a strike. Kristof doesn't get this one. He'll have to worry about Kwolek getting away from him. If Joe can come up with two strikes here on his turn, look out. Too high. Kicks the 10 out. Nothing but the 4-7. Now, these lanes have been checked out to American Bowling Congress specifications. They are reconditioned for each match. We're using brand new AMF tournament grade pins. We don't make it too easy for them. All right, there's the cover. And in talking to these boys week in and week out, they tell you that lane 28, which is the right side as we refer to it, is like threading a needle. The slightest error, and you're not going to be in the pocket. Joe dropped it. High again, 6-10. So Kwolek, who is on a strike, leading by 12 pins, has a chance to get a cushion here with $1,000 waiting for the winner. There's another pick, the 6 off the 10. And now, a double by Kwolek. And he should be able to waltz home with 7 frames to go. We're in the third. Kwolek on a strike. Throws it out, sets it. There it is, the 10 pin again. Bobby's ball not finishing. Goes up so far and just seems to hang there. We're at the Major League lanes here in Winston-Salem, North Carolina. You'll find a Major League bowling establishment in your neighborhood. Around the southeastern parts of these United States, 22 establishments, a total of 650 lanes. Down in Georgia, Savannah, Georgia. In Florida, Tampa, Lake Worth, and Ocala. In Virginia, Richmond, Virginia, Danville, Williamsburg, South Boston, Petersburg, Wheeling, West Virginia. Too high again for Kwolek. He leaves the 6 pin. In the Carolinas, here in Winston-Salem, in Gastonia, Concord, Kannapolis, Greenville, Wilson, Goldsboro, Major League Bowling Lanes. Drop in, get acquainted. There's the cover. So we go into the fourth frame with Kwolek out in front by 12 pins. He had a lead of 12. His margin is 24 pins. He tries to hang on. Dave Sutar is safe for another week. Too high, 4-7. Still to come up, some of the boys with the good totals. Georgie Howard will come in here with 635. Eddie Labansky with 668. Andy Marsich, 661. And Johnny Gunther, the leader, with 683. Lindy Faragelli has 634. There's the cover. And Big Bill Bonetta from Fresno, California, with 660. Some of the boys have picked Bonetta as one of the two finalists. Labansky's another favorite, along with Marsich and Johnny Gunther. We're in the fifth. 10 pin by Kristof. So Joe's 229 average on championship bowling for 21 games is going to drop a bit. Joe had 576 his first out. Can still get 600 here with a triple. Look out. He's missed that one. So his 600 is getting farther away as Bobby Kwolek now, with a fill in the fifth, can add another 10 pins to his margin. Oh, he dropped that one. The 1-2-4. Well, Bobby has pulled three. He's been on the Brooklyn 3 times. Hasn't carried. He left the 7-9 in the second game. Here's the 1-2-4. The AMF Sparemaker says right between the 1 and the 2. And that's what Bobby did. So there's the cover at the end of 5 in the third and final game. It's Kristof, 75. He's open. Kwolek is 76, working on a spare. We're in the sixth, the final game, a lead of some 30 pins. Kwolek throws too high, breaks it up, 6-10. This young fella has rolled 2 sanctioned 800 totals, one in 1958, 815. Was rolled in the Michigan State Match Game Team Championships. In 1960, shot an 814 total, 610. Look out, he picked it, and there is life for Kristof. So Kwolek has missed the 610 by missing the 6 pin in the 10th frame of the second game. This time he didn't want to miss the 6. He went up too high, picked the 6 out. Kristof with the turn, and this time he gives it enough room, and he has a strike. And gets a big hand from a packed house here in Winston-Salem, North Carolina. Everybody out this week looking for the big scores, but they are just not going to be. It'll still be Dave Sutar, the leader, with 1267. It'll be Johnny King with 1242. Kristof in the 7th on a strike. He doesn't get there and almost carried. Nothing but the 5. He had the 4-5-7 up there. That ball got away from him. Seems as though it's a battle between both of these boys and the Winston-Salem humidity this week. And when you battle the humidity, it's not easy. There's the cover. He has it. A little damp here in North Carolina this week. Bobby Kwolek now on the right side. He has an 8-pin lead this game. He led by 12. The margin only 20 pins. And Kristof right behind him. There it is. So Kwolek now makes the move for that $1,000. He won his first match. He defeated Tony Lindemann with a 607 total. Kristof lost to Johnny Gunther. Johnny throwing a 267 game at Kristof, the highest game rolled thus far. Kwolek in the 8th. No. Well, Bobby is hiding his head in shame, covering his face. But it'll go on the scoreboard as a double. Kwolek is making a very peculiar move that we've never seen before, really. That's the 5th ball that he has found at the top of his backswing to be to the extreme right. In other words, it's coming out of right field somewhere. And when he gets to the bottom with it, he doesn't know what to do with it. There's a 7-pin. Pretty good hit. There is no justice. Kwolek, who had the 20-pin lead, threw one out on Main Street here on Stratford Boulevard in Winston-Salem, and he ends up with a strike. Kristof tears him apart and doesn't touch the 7. And Kristof needs them. He was trailing by 20-some pins. There's the cover. So Joe moves left. We're in the 9th. Kwolek with about 30 pins to work on. 2 frames to go. Here it comes. There it is. We got the 7 out of there that time. Now, some of you non-bowlers might be asking the question, why didn't he get a strike in the 8th? It looked the same. Well, that's what makes this game so interesting and sometimes so frustrating. And it sort of makes you want to come back. Haven't you tried bowling yet? Look out. Too high, 6-10. Well, an open here by Kwolek, and he may find Mr. Kristof storming home on him. Now, Bobby can shut the door in Kristof's face, but he's going to have to cover this one and pay attention in the 10th because Kristof is sitting on a potential 194. The 6-10, he's missed it twice. This time he covers. So Bobby's going to need a mark here for $1,000. He needs the spare. It'll be 2 victories for Kwolek. Oh, he's going to have something to shoot at, too. He's got a tough one here. He lost that one. And Bobby doesn't understand why the ball is getting away from him. He has the 1, the 2, the 5, and the 9. Haven't seen this one in a long time. 1, 2, 5, 9. A very unusual leave. The spare maker says, through the middle. Can almost hit every pin with a ball. If he misses this one, Kristof can beat him with a double. There it is, a $1,000 shot. $1,000 shot. Bobby Kwolek, 187. The best that Kristof can get is 194. That would be 7 pins. It'll be Kwolek by 5 pins if Joe goes all the way. Come on, Bobby. Wind it up with a good strike. There we go. Brooklyn side. Oh, look at here. You got 9.5. And the AMF pin spotter comes down and picks that pin right up. It'll put that leaner right on it. Kristof in the 10th. Throws. He's there. Leaves almost to 7. Well, it may be that Kwolek made himself quite a spare in the 10th to win. For 1, 2, 5, 9. The margin could be as little as 5 pins. There it is. Yes, sir. Mr. Kristof, a little late. Say, I wonder, do you know that last year some 90,000 fires destroyed over 3 million acres of forest land? 9 out of 10 forest fires are caused by carelessness. So please be careful and help prevent forest fires. Well, Kristof getting 28 in the 10th frame. A close match. Great competition. In the final game, Kristof 192, Kwolek 186. We'll check the totals to make them official and may have a visit from our bowling doctor, Lee Juglard. This is Fred Wolf. We're in Winston-Salem, North Carolina. Don't go away. Here's a word.
Here are the final results for Joe Kristof, 201, 182, and 192. The total is 575. For Bobby Kwolek, 211, 184. He hung on with 186 to pull it out by 6 pins. The total, 581. A close one. Did you enjoy this one? Well, we didn't have the big scores this week, but we certainly had a great exhibition of spur shooting sometime. Bob, how do you account for missing 2 6-10s?
Well, one I went by it, the ball dropped out of my hand, Freddie, and then the other one I wanted to be careful, and so I put a little bit more on it, and I picked it.
You picked it. Of course, we have a little dampness here in Winston-Salem this week. You think humidity has a lot to do with bowling conditions?
I think it was, Freddie. I had an awful time trying to hang on to my ball. I must have dropped at least a dozen balls, and when you do that, you just don't have that lift anymore, and I was getting so wild there for a while, I thought we were going to have to move the cameraman.
Well, the boys were with you. That'll help you lift. There's another $1,000. You've won both of your matches, so you've come out of this thing pretty good. Joe, the runner-up share. Speaking of humidity, does this bother your style at all?
With the way I stumbled and fumbled out there, I think everyone saw that.
Well, Joe, I know you've been around a long time. You can't always have the big scores, but when we see you boys struggle a little bit, it makes us feel pretty good, too. I know the folks here in the audience probably will go home this week and say, I can beat both of those guys, and it'll make them feel pretty good, too. So good luck.
They're probably right.
On the next trip. Joe Kristof, Bobby Kwolek.
Thank you, Freddie.
See you. Good luck. Joe? Thank you. Well, don't go away. The bowling doctor, Lee Juglard, will make a little visit with us, and we may have a little bowling ailment, and we may get a little prescription. So stay right there. Well, here's the bowling doctor himself, Lee Juglard. Lee, how are you?
Just fine, Fred.
How are all your patients?
Well, coming along pretty well, so I thought we'd use a little different track today.
Oh, good. There you are.
Well, why don't you just stay here and talk to me a little bit? I wanted to discuss...
I've been talking for an hour.
I know you have, and I know they've enjoyed it, but I want to talk a little bit about the organizations that actually help the bowlers and the bowling game itself. They keep it on a real competitive basis, and they keep it real clean. And a good many of these people, I know, become a little confused when you mention all these initials that belong to the organizations.
Fine, I think it's a good idea. You want me to start out?
Well, name a few of them and...
all right, ABC. What is ABC?
Well, the ABC has been the governing body of the bowlers for quite some time. They've set the rules and the regulations, and they have so many awards. I mean, you just can't keep up with them, actually. And I think that they have, at this present time, millions of bowlers that belong to the ABC. They are sanctioned, and they are rewarded richly throughout the year, and I think they all should belong to the ABC.
The governing body,
yes.
ABC. What does ABC stand for?
American Bowling Congress, and this is for the men, I might mention.
Men only?
Men only.
All right, what is the WIBC?
Well, now we go to the other side, the other sex, and this is the Women's International Bowling Congress, and this performs somewhat in the same manner as the ABC. However, they're not quite as large. They're growing very rapidly. I think the reason they're not as large is because 15 or 20 years ago, it was considered immoral or indecent for a lady to go bowling. But today, with all these real fine, clean establishments, why we've got all the women and all the children in, and it really makes for a good, clean game.
All right, what does BPAA stand for?
You had to spell that out, didn't you?
Yeah, BPAA.
Well, that is the Bowling Proprietors Association of America, and they are doing a wonderful job in holding the owners or proprietors of the bowling establishments throughout the country. They hold them together and they regulate the prices. They do a great many things, and they function right along with the ABC and the WIBC.
Very good. What does AMF stand for?
Well,
bowling pleasure?
That's just exactly what it means, American Machine and Foundry. But you might mention, too, Fred, that we have the American Junior Bowling Congress, which has been terrific and really growing fast.
That's AJBC.
AJBC.
Thank you very much, Doctor. Lee Juglard, come back again, will you?
Thank you.
Well, we thought you might like to go to school. Don't forget, be with us again next week on Championship Bowling from Winston-Salem, North Carolina. You will see the big Chicago star, Carmen Salvino. go against Hank Lauman from Los Angeles. Until then, this is Fred Wolf, and just keep 'em bowling out there, will you?
Matching shirts and slacks used on championship bowling by King Louie. Championship bowling is sanctioned by the American Bowling Congress, and we wish to thank AMF for their cooperation in helping us to produce championship bowling.